Breaking news, guys. Finally, the Synagogue Church of All Nations releases statement on BBC's revelation about late TB Joshua's church. Everybody just tired. Welcome back to Prospect Channel TV. Thank you for this coming out here. If you are just joining us, please kindly subscribe to this channel and don't forget to give us a thumbs up. The Synagogue Church of All Nations has responded to the controversial BBC documentary about its founder, the late Temitope Babatunde Joshua, popularly known as Prophet TB Joshua. In a statement signed by its Public Affairs Director, Dare, Synagogue faulted the broadcasting station and its documentary, describing it as baseless and highlighting that the individuals interviewed in the report were not affiliated with the church. Niger News understand that the church intention is issuing the statement was to clarify any misconceptions that may have arisen from the documentary, which has generated mixed reactions in the Christendom and among concerned Nigerians and authorities. It is worth noting that the BBC documentary, which was released on Monday, made news headlines with serious allegations against TB Joshua, including accusations of rape by some members. However, Synagogue has said the BBC World Service Investigative Unit, codenamed African Eye, came out this week with wide and strange episode of atrocities against the late founder of Synagogue. The church emphasized that the investigation was carried out in a manner that deviated from the ethical and fundamental principles of the journalism profession. As per the church perspective, journalism, being a societal watchdog, necessitates the practice of fairness, balance, and objectivity to uphold its esteemed position as a fourth estate of the realm. The statement added, BBC has compromised these lofty principles by descending into fictional narrative and propaganda, thus turning itself into a weapon for a hard-checked job as gangsters in the gap of journalism with a destructive interior motive to personal gains against a perceived enemy. Only BBC can best explain why it woefully deviated from true journalism and chose to be dishing junks and feeding the public with stones called bread by its offensive and disenchanted report of disgruntled elements. This is to say the least. Is insulting to our professional and public intelligence. One thing is very obvious. Hundreds of BBC chariots cannot rubbish the indelible footprints of TB Joshua's legacies on earth again. According to the church, there are numerous individuals who have experienced astonishing miracles and greatly benefited from the anointing and grace bestowed upon them by the Lord through TB Joshua. He said these beneficiaries can be found everywhere, and their existence cannot be disputed. Synagogue observed that many of the individuals inside in the UK, which is the home base of BBC, it however expressed regret that the biased investigative eyes of BBC fail to acknowledge their presence and instead rely on obviously biased narrators. The church said countless broken families that have been reconciled by TB Joshua are also experiencing their dissatisfaction with BBC broadcasts of falsehood. Additionally, it said that numerous vulnerable children from various parts of the world, some of whom were brought by the parents and others rescued from drug dens or brutes who have had their destinies restored are also angered by the offensive reports. Synagogue said BBC has clearly harmed its own reputation through its compromise and unprofessional journalism. It added that BBC would not have lost anything if it had gone to the church, even in disguise, in order to have direct experience of what was happening in the synagogue, instead of relying on discounted and manipulated individuals, some of whom were never known before in the church. Some of those identified there are the release of homosexual and lesbian associates. My findings further show that everything the BBC put together is strange to synagogue. One other clearly logical thing in the chariot is the BBC categorical statement that the man of God was involved in all the abuse for over 2 decades. How can that be in a nation governed by law? It shows the situation, crude disrespect and brazy section of Nigeria, where were all those shameless interviewers in all the decades? Was it when the man passed on that they suddenly become awake or came back to their senses? Only a fool will have respect for such charlatans. Daily Post quoted the church statement to have read. Additionally, disregarding the documentary, the church emphasized that the BBC simply aimed to defame the church by using derogatory language towards it. The church further stated that it was evident that the individuals behind the biased BBC production must have been envious of the church's ongoing expansion, liking it to a flourishing tree planted by the riverside. Thank God your report exonerated his only wife of any wrongdoings throughout the decades of your so-called investigated lopsided work. But did you think any wife at all can see and watch all these nonsensical and annoying scenarios you painted for decades and still kept silent? I am yet to read or see such a woman in the universe. This is logical, irritating, comprehensively unfathomable, and satanically dubious, malicious. The church condemned the reports and begged God to forgive the sponsors, saying persecution of divine envoys or servant of God was not new in history. So guys, what's your take on this? Kindly share your views below the comment section. Thank you.